You want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
You can't handle the truth!
Well, we're giving you the Michigan Sports Truth, the show that is honest, reveals the facts, truth, and statistics, and does not mess around. Follow me, Taylor Phillips, on Twitter at DT2Phillips. Email me at TaylorGatorPhillips14@yahoo.com. Follow Ed Smith on Twitter at EdSmith313, and go to our website at MichiganSportsTruth.com. Also like our Facebook page, The Michigan Sports Truth, and join our Facebook group with the same name. The Michigan Sports Truth podcast on Spreaker is also available on iHeartRadio and SoundCloud. Also a subsidiary of Sports Radio Detroit, thus available on iTunes and Podbean. This podcast is particularly not for entertainment purposes, and the views expressed by the host of this podcast are opinion-based. However, they do not come without facts, research, statistics, and truth, whether other people like it or not, and no matter how harsh or complicated it may be. This is the Michigan Sports Truth, and nothing can ever stop it from being correct.
And this is episode 268 on Spreaker, the Father's Day edition 2017. I'm Taylor Phillips along with Ed Smith. How was your Father's Day, Ed?
It was quite well productive, I would say, Taylor. I work in 8-hour shifts, and though it was long and tiring, I'm sure what I did at that 8-hour shift at my job was much more productive and endearing than the absolute shit show that we saw at Comerica Park today.
Yeah. 9-1 to the Tampa Bay Rays. I mean,
that one is long gone.
This is a team you already asked lasted 13-4 two games ago, and now you're the one being on the receiving end this time. You know, getaway game is one thing, but this is a problem, a far out problem here. I think Tony Paul sorted something on Twitter or confirmed the stat on Twitter that now the Tigers are 0-9, I believe, this year alone in getaway games, and like in terms of the run differential average, it was near or probably at 6, probably ballooned even more now after today's ass whipping. But it's like 1 step forward, 4 steps back for this team nowadays.
4 steps back, yeah. Worse than 2 or 3 steps back, huh? Yeah, all that was after the Tigers got swept in a 2-game series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Both those games were close, 7-6 and 2-1. First game, Buck Farmer allows 6 runs, gets a no decision. Justin Wilson gives up a game-winning home run in the top of the 9th inning to David Peralta, who also had a double in the at-bat before that. And then Buck Farmer today was awful again. He got sent back down to the Toledo Mudhens, and the Tigers called up Audubon Sanchez.
Are you out of your mind? Like shutting down garbage and coming back with shit.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Just part of the tanking process, which we'll get to right now. It has been confirmed by the DSR Group's Adam Furman that, quote, rumor is that's the plan anyway, to tank to put Chris Ilitch in a tighter situation financially, where he'll have to sell both the Tigers and the Red Wings. Because you know, we read that article, Kelly Ilitch telling fans that Tigers and Red Wings will be sold due to tax issues and financial debt tied to team revenue. The Tigers and Red Wing, if the Tigers and Red Wings lose, if any team loses, the front office loses ownership money, and that's part of it. Go figure.
It's part of the reason, but yet sometimes that doesn't stop incompetent ownership from maintaining a stronghold on teams for years and years and years on end. Case in point, their fucking next door neighbors, the Lions.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we'll get to the Lions just a little bit sometime later during this episode here. 269 rather, not 268. My apologies. So, again, Taylor Phillips, Ed Smith, welcome to episode 269 of the Michigan Sports Truth podcast on Spreaker, the Week in Review. Tigers now dropped to 32-36, fourth place in the American League Central Division. And prior to Friday night's game, Victor Martinez, their designated hitter, their not so rightful anymore cleanup hitter, suffered an irregular heartbeat and was diagnosed with an elevated heart rate. He was put on the 10-day disabled list. Louis Tenor, my national sports reporter on the post-game edition on TalkShoe, posted legitimate information about Victor Martinez's exact symptoms. There were a couple posts in the group. Detroit Tigers designated hitter Victor Martinez is out of the hospital after suffering dizzy spells, cold sweats, and a rapid heartbeat in a game Thursday against the Rays. He underwent further testing on Friday and stayed at the hospital a second night. And of course, he'll stay in Detroit. He's put on the 10-day DL, but as the Tigers head out northwest to Seattle and then San Diego. Four games with the Mariners at Safeco Field, all at 10:10, and then Friday and Saturday at Petco Park against the Padres at 10:10, and Sunday at 4:40. And both posts were actually the exact same post, but yeah, that's legitimate information. So Victor Martinez was released from the hospital. Just for all time's sake, we're glad he's okay. When he returns, he should not hit cleanup. That's it.
Yeah, from a professional standpoint, this is another sign of the baseball gods telling you that B-Mark is done. He needs to hang it up. But on a more personal and more human note, this is something that could have been even more serious than it was if it had not been treated properly. So credit to the doctors for finding it out, and let's hope B-Mark rests up, and for his family's sake, has a very good speedy recovery.
Yep. Definitely. And then we get an article about Miguel Cabrera playing through back spasms. He says he's going to try to play through the pain like he normally does. The Tigers desperately need Miguel Cabrera to play more if they want to win.
Well, playing more is not the question. They need him to play well, but when he mentions, when you look at his stats, it's kind of, not that hard to put two and two together when you mention the injuries that he's gone through so far. And he's going, oblique, hip strain, groin injuries, now the back problems. Remember, there was times he used to have ankle problems even. So when you factor that in, plus the fact that he's now 34, he's not exactly, that early 30s beast that he was during the early portion of his tenure in Detroit. He can still get you hits, still get you the home runs, but it's clear age and health is catching up with him. And that was, I think, looking back on it, always going to be a negative downside to a contract of his tenure and work, standing with Verlander. But back then, I would have taken the same deal because it would have been worth it if we had gotten at least a World Series or two. So it just makes the situation feel even more grim and a bit of climactic and feeling of finality while this window truly feels closed. Because while Scherzer's having the time of his life in DC and Verlander is being inconsistent far more than we would like to see. Miggy is breaking down. D-Mart is practically a corpse at the plate already. It just makes you shake your head at how in the hell this team, with the payroll that they had and the talent they had put together, how they could not have won a World Series, at least one World Series within the past 6 years or so. Quite frustrating.
Oh, yeah. It's just tough to... It's just very tough to predict that the star players that are going through injuries, having to play through them, tough to predict them to help a team, your favorite team, win. And sometimes it just doesn't help.
And I'll be honest with you, I think some of these players, they won't express it outwardly or publicly, but mentally, maybe privately, they have to, they have to know for themselves. No, it's called putting up a good face, whether it be for ownership or front office or whatever. But I'm sure some of them internally or privately are thinking, yeah, the window's closed because the effort is really not there. I mean, remember a few days back, they were within 3 games of this crappy division of taking the lead. Now they've lost 2 straight. Now they're back to 4.5 back. But I want to see the division was there for the taking with the Twins. Now it seems coming back down to earth. Tigers blew a chance. The Cleveland Indians decided to wake the fuck up now. They've won 5 in a row. Now they're back ahead. They're leading the division by 2 games over the Twins. And it's just, nothing else you can do but just shake your head and think, wow, this is another brutal example of life telling you, yeah, the window has long since closed for this team.
And remember, if the Tigers finish the first half of the season at the end of June under 500, then they have to sell. And I found an article from 97 Won the Ticket headlining at 97wontheticket.com headlining, "It's time for the Tigers to sell everyone, including Fulmer." Yeah.
I don't mind selling like some of the names that either too big, that are big, or near the end, or for sure more than likely they're probably not going to be back or here potentially long term, i.e. J.D. Martinez with his pending contract situation and whatnot. But when you still have players like Michael Fulmer and Nick Castellanos, and I'll even say Jose Iglesias with his speed and his defensive abilities, I understand trying to stockpile and rebuild your farm system, but you can't kill the whole, facet, the whole core of your main roster. It's like that. It's nothing. You got to have some preservative, some hanger-on to help strive and mesh over to the next tenure, the next era, or whatever the case may be. So them to keep, the players I have mentioned, so that way they would still find themselves in a good enough spot for that when their eventual future farm system comes back, helps supply them enough, it would be a well-oiled machine more than say, chill everything and blow it all up and restart from the bottom. To make this process even more longer than what it is right now.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of Castellanos, he has now committed 13 errors. You are pathetic! 13. He still can't. His last error was a throwing error, which wasn't too costly, but still, it's 13 errors. We're already
I think it's just a case where maybe third base is just not the spot for him. I think, remember initially, he was also listed as an outfielder when he was in the minors when he first came up. So that's even that. That's a possibility of where he could move out to. But I'm thinking more than likely he'll probably be first base, especially with the way Cabrera's body's been breaking down lately. That day may be sooner rather than later. Because in my opinion, Victor should retire. Assuming that Miggy is still with the team next season and hasn't been traded, and assuming Victor retires, then that's when you make the move with Miggy being your full-time DH and Nick Castellanos being possibly your new starting first baseman.
Now some of the errors that Nick Castellanos has committed were also fielding errors that he can't pick the ball cleanly.
That's where, again, I think a move to first base would help him out. So, yes, you would eventually have to go through your method of fielding balls, but it's less likely to occur at first base more so than at any other spot in the infield.
Well, if he collected a ground ball at first base and he still bobbled it, I mean, he could I mean, he could still have a chance to put the play on assisted, but if he was far away from the base?
I'm thinking there could be an added comfort level to him playing at first as opposed to being at third. That would explain why Cabrera even, he started out at third base. He just wasn't good at third base, especially when he first came to the team. And a lot of people were shocked when he tried to make that switch over to third.
I understand that.
Right, to make room for Prince Fielder. So that could be an example of what we're seeing here. That Castellanos, it's third base is just not the spot for him. Maybe a change of scenery in a different spot that could do dividends for him. And like I said, comfort level is everything.
Yep, I understand that. But what I was trying to point out, even if he was at first base, if he booted a ball and he got by him like under his legs or something like that, and he would have to go and chase it, then the runner would be safe. That could happen to any first baseman too, and he can commit a lot of fielding errors too.
It's always possible, but we can't know for sure unless we see him actually try or attempt to do something at first base, as opposed to what we're constantly doing. So.
Oh yeah, we'll see him. We'll see him try to accomplish that abomination of a feat. So that's baseball. That's the Tigers. So we're going to transition to hockey and the Red Wings. This is a What We Missed segment. I was going to mention that last week that left winger Luke Glendening was pronounced out 3 to 4 months after he had ankle surgery, and he may not be ready for Red Wings training camp in Traverse City, Michigan, northwest of the Mitten, just an hour away from my home, or less than an hour, like 50 or 55 minutes or whatever. But the Red Wings may not see Luke Glendening at training camp, or maybe in the start of the upcoming NHL preseason. And speaking of the NHL, the protected players list for the expansion draft has been released for all 30 teams. Now, let's boil it down already. There are 2 players with long-term contracts, Danny DeKeyser and Justin Abdelkader. Ken Holland decides to protect him, the general manager of the Red Wings.
Are you out of your mind?
And he decided not to protect goaltender Peter Mrazek. And I heard from reports from a source that Mrazek's attitude issues led him to being unprotected. I'm not sure if this was true or not.
I don't buy that at all. It's called he's not one of Kenny's boys, so that's why he's not getting the preferred treatment, the love that Kenny would show, his guys. Donald Trump wishes for the type of loyalty that Ken Holland shows these players, okay? I mean, it's really Danny DeKeyser and Justin Applicator, 2 overrated, overpaid guys that really isn't going to do jack shit for you long term. You are pathetic! Put them on the protected list, but yet you have a Peter Mrazek. And anything about Mrazek, I thought if you were going to put a goaltender on that list, who do you think? You would think maybe in this situation, I would put Jimmy Howard on the unprotected side, put Mrazek on the protected side. But no, another example of Kenny Boy showing his loyalty, and was, of course, the side effect of it butt-fucking the organization for potential long-term here.
Yeah, I knew that was a lie. What an absolute crock Ken Holland always has been. Like Frank Vashner pointed out, the Red Wings did not have Ken Holland when they won the 97 Stanley Cup. Ken Holland, after the Vladimir Konstantinov accident, became the general manager, and he did not do much, period, in totality.
Success.
Right. Only one. I get it. He won 3 Stanley Cups since the salary cap, the beginning of the salary cap era. But
but he wasn't the guy that helped assemble that talent that had been there since the late '80s and early '90s that led up to those 3 cups or 4 cups in 8 years or whatever, from '97 to '02, and of course eventually '08. So we're talking the 4 cup span in a decade, between Hassan Anderson and other assorted players, not named Ken Holland, picking the talent that was there, assembling the guys like Eiserman and Fedorov and Lidstrom, and so on and so forth. You could say, and like I said, with the salary cap being what it was before and what it was now, Ken Holland was able to take advantage of that and bring, sign guys like Chris Chelios, of course, 02, with somehow getting Hasek and Brett Hall and Robitaille the same damn go-round. It's not exactly figuring out an Einstein equation, okay? If you had the money and resources, you do the same damn thing too. So, what else you could say about that? Ken Holland has been an absolute fraud, abject fraud and failure for a long time now, and now it's a situation where everything is now bubbling up and showing its true colors as to why, as long as he's remaining at the helm, this team and franchise and organization is going nowhere. It's going nowhere to begin with unless they'll just sell the team. So same thing. So they're in the same boat with the Tigers, figuratively and literally, it seems. So what can you say other than I'm not surprised at this for sure? Because when you literally set the names of who's protected, and unprotected, I'm not feeling any surge of anger. It's just more of, of course, what else could you have expected from this idiot?
Yeah, I mean, that's just no question about it. Ken Holland has been the worst general manager since the salary cap era, despite winning 3 Stanley Cups with the Red Wings. Which is already the past. We've already pointed that out. So for the fans out there, stop bragging.
Glendening injuries, right? We can't even. I thought Holland was going to do it anyway, but this took away the chance of him being on that unprotected list, because who the hell would want to draft him, a guy coming out of ankle surgery in an expansion draft, who probably won't be available more than likely for the starting camp?
Yeah, I mean Luke Glendening has been a dud for the last 2 or 3 years. If we figure that out, we can save that answer for the 5 questions. But it should be a no-brainer.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. So that's Red Wings talk and hockey talk as well. So we're going to transition to basketball and the Pistons.
Left sideline 3, and he answers.
Oh, wait. Was it I think we didn't. Did we get a chance to mention congratulations to the Griffins?
Oh, yeah, the Calder Cup champions. Again, 2017, against the Syracuse Crunch. The Griffins clinched the Calder Cup at Van Andel Arena in front of their own home fans in downtown Grand Rapids, in GR, at Van Andel Arena for the first time ever. It's the second Calder Cup that they've won in their franchise, but it's the first one that they've won on their own home ice ever before. So they won in 6 games. 4-2 was the 4-3 I think was the score. It was a 1-goal game. The Crunch won game 5-1, but the Griffins won 4-3. So Nathan Page, the new captain, hoisting the first one to hoist that Calder Cup. And Tyler Bertuzzi became the AHL Calder Cup Playoffs MVP. So, with that said, that's hockey. Now time for basketball and the Pistons.
Left sideline, 3, and he answers.
And thanks for the heads up, Ed. I almost missed that one. Pistons shooting guard Kentavious Caldwell-Pope was sentenced to a 1-year probation for his DUI arrest. And finally, he got his just due. It took a year or two, but finally got his sentence. And then we recently heard that forward Reggie Bullock was suspended 5 games, along with Monte Ellis of the Indiana Pacers, for violating the NBA's anti-drug policy. So, I would say that this should be one of our 5 questions here for KCP. Since he's on a 1-year probation, we'll have to find out whether the Pistons should still sign into an extension or not. Probably not, but it's still one of our 5 questions.
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. As to what it now again, now he committed this in March, so really it's not that far away. But at least we got some type of decision in this. It was a stupid, obviously very stupid to try drug at any type of level or capacity. Someone could have really got hurt from that, or even worse. So luckily, it was just DUI and nothing more than that. I mean, case in point, recently with Tiger Woods, as a comparative example. So there's that. As for the Reggie Bullock situation, it's quite interesting because the NBA, for some reason, is disclosing the specific details of what was in the system, what was the sample, or whatever it may be. It wouldn't surprise me if maybe it's just a marijuana excursion or something the case. Maybe the NBA is trying to model after the NFL a little bit, especially when you hear about I think Brian Windhorst of ESPN commenting of the locker room of the Cavs smelling like marijuana after one of the games in the finals this year. So the NBA was like, "Oh shit, let's do this for PR," which is utter horse shit in all sense. But that's another topic and another debate for another day. But the rule is the rule, the law is the law, and they violated that law, both Ellis and Bullock, and now they got certain consequences for it. All there is to it. So, but this transition and segue into something I think could be a little bit more positive and more thoughtful thinking. What the hell are the Pistons going to do for Thursday night? Because the draft is Thursday, and they're still the number 12 spot. Boston, they made their move in a big way. They traded their number 1 pick to Philly in exchange for a bundle that's too long for me to explain right now. Okay, it's longer than a deal that you get at a fast food joint. So there's that. Yet the Pistons are still at 12. Now, I remember reading some tweets or something the other day that there is intrigue of the Pistons trying to pursue outlets to possibly trade Andre Drummond and or Reggie Jackson. Maybe they're saving up something big for Thursday where we can swap a high draft pick in exchange for ours and Drummond and maybe a first rounder next year. That could be the case since that's part of what Philly did with Boston to get this number 1 pick, presumably to draft Markelle Fultz. So maybe the Pistons, like, for instance, my dream pick would be Josh Jackson from Kansas. Forward, defensive-minded, can rebound, got to work on the free throw shooting, but young, athletic, tremendous rebounder, and he's from Detroit. So it'll be like a wish come true in a sense. But I'm sure there's other people, other talent that the Pistons are looking at. They had a plethora of workouts involving and tryouts essentially. ranging from the pre-draft prospects and to current players now, whether it be in the league or out of the league or overseas. For instance, Manny Harris, Jordan Morgan, and Derek Morris from the Michigan Wolverines. They worked out for the team. A couple of MSU players. It escapes my name at the moment right now, but I know a couple of MSU players had their chance opportunity also. So it's interesting. It's a very interesting situation because I have the feeling that the Pistons, for instance, they desperately need 3-point shooting and more bench help. So you have to wonder how can they do that, whether it be through free agency or trying to find that type of player in the draft itself. Myself personally, like I said, if I was in the spot, I would find a way to trade Drummond, move up, take Josh Jackson, and with my second pick in the second round, try to find a shooter or try to look for one in the off season. But the priority and one primary objective for me, if I'm the Pistons this year, find me bench outside shooting, because that was one thing we lacked majorly last year, and it really cost us a bunch of games where we could have had one of those. Not only we could have gotten into playoffs, probably a good enough seeding and spot. So that's one thing the Pistons desperately got to work on of improving this year. If the Lions can improve their offensive line, okay, in an off season, then the Pistons should at least find themselves in a position to try and get a 3-point shooter or two, either on the bench or in the starting lineup.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. And speaking of which, there was a headline.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
That the Lions have traded their 2018 6th-round pick to the Los Angeles Rams for the 2014 number 2 overall pick, offensive lineman Greg Robinson. And that's a key trade right there.
Well, they did it primarily because, they need to fill a hole with the absence of, Taylor Decker shoulder surgery. So he'll be out for a few months. More than likely will miss a good portion, if not the majority of the season. So you need to fill that spot on left tackle. Thing is, what can you expect out of Greg Robinson? He was literally the number 2 overall pick 3 years ago, and he was being given up on so quickly by the Rams. So it makes you wonder what's wrong with his progress. To get shit canned after 3 years, that would be us feeling away Eric Ebron for no particular reason at all, other than the fans or the organization saw the weaknesses that he had and felt that he couldn't come up to speed to fix them, so they got rid of him. So essentially, that's what happened here with the Rams, in my opinion. Now, still, you need a body out there, left tackle, but you just got to be careful because, like I said, that is Matthew Stafford's blind side. You've already invested so much on the right side of your line. You cannot have a fuck up of the left side go wrong, because what? Protecting number 9 is your primary objective, and if he goes down, you're fucked. From 7 ways till Sunday. Yes, I'm adding an extra on all of that. So, waiting for Decker to get healthy, and this is the best they can do in this situation right now. Hopefully it works out for the best. But, it's quite interesting because they really didn't have that much backup depth to begin with, especially after paying all the money that they did to sign Ricky Wagner and TJ Lang. Now to deal with this situation, it produces a very intriguing question mark that the team themselves they're going to have to try and solve and answer as a key of what people are expecting to see how they perform in this season.
Definitely. Taylor Decker is going to come back not until like the middle of early December, between the beginning of December and mid-December, like December 10th or 9th. That's why the Lions needed Greg Robinson to step up here, to fill in. Taylor Decker's shoes, cleats, however you may put it. So, speaking of football, we transition from pro to college.
Down MSU!
Michigan State Spartans Football former director of college advancement and performance Curtis Blackwell intervened with the sexual assault investigation, according to multiple reports. And let me pull that up from Bleacher Report. He allegedly intervened with the sexual assault investigation from Tyler Conway. He gave credit to Matt Mencerini of the Lansing State Journal. Report police took Blackwell out of the Michigan State football building, Spartan Stadium, in handcuffs in February. No charges have been filed at that time. Blackwell failed to report details of the January 16 assault to them or university officials or anybody else after discussing the matter with two players in the days after. He did not inform police of the talks with players until he was interviewed February 8th. Blackwell told the police, quote, I wasn't doing an investigation or anything, which is a mistake. I was just trying to find out exactly what happened. Well, I mean, if you're going to find out exactly what happened, you have to do an investigation and you have to report it, period.
Yeah, otherwise...
You're the witness.
Exactly. Otherwise, what's the purpose? What's the point?
Otherwise, you're in legal trouble.
Yeah, because wouldn't this constitute as grounds for obstruction of justice?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Kind of like disturbing the peace, for God's sake. Or lack thereof. Disturbing the lack thereof. It just makes things worse.
You know, and in terms of speaking of things getting worse, we can just segue into that for you with the situation regarding Vayante Copeland.
Yep, he's no longer with the team. According to MLive.com, no longer with the Spartans, the green and white. He said, Mark D'Antonio said, the head coach, he was unable to provide any more details as to the reason for his departure, but said that, quote, he was not thrown off his football team, probably for just personal reasons, I guess. There's certain things you've got to be able to make as you process yourself through from a junior to a senior. We wish Vayante the best. We wish Vayante the best, but he's not going to be able to be here. Or maybe it's because of some academic issues that he may be having.
Well, maybe the program is sinking faster than the fucking Titanic, and he's being smart and getting out of there as quickly as possible.
Well, normally any fan would say that, but professionally speaking...
Think about that. Think about everything that's gone on. Think about the Green Knight. That's just... Yeah. Think about everything that's gone on off the field since this past January. Okay? Sexual assault allegations up the wazoo. Player personnel, players getting arrested. Even now with the situation... Again, it's separate, but still it relates to the name of the university and whatnot. The Larry Nassar situation. So that's got to play into the effect of the players mentally as well. Like, wow, do I really need to stay here and, just mess up my reputation and whatnot, potential future earnings by dealing with this mess? So this makes now at least a dozen or so players that have left or been dismissed from the team since this past January. This program is in disarray right now. I'm not saying that because I'm a U of M guy trying to beat down on Sparty. This is a problem.
Yeah, that's a total problem. It's like a Jenga massacre in the game of Jenga, where you take out the wrong Jenga block and everything else falls down.
In that case, it's
like a building imploding.
It feels like 10 Jenga implosions then.
Yeah, absolutely.
God.
Yeah, that's true. And then we have some Michigan Wolverines men's basketball news.
For three, yes, sir.
They land a 2019 four-star center, Taylor Curry.
Mm-hmm. Quite nice. Very nice. Very nice pickup for John Beeline. I'm waiting for them to pick up on players like this. It's been a while since we've heard of news regarding the situation or this type of pickup since around, like before Mitch McGarry arrived, like when he had made his announcement to that effect. And we were getting, him and Stauskas and Trey and whatnot, and Glenn Robinson III, of course. So this is a very nice start. I think this was a good example of the run that the team made to the Sweet 16, almost got to the Elite Eight. Now, of course, with at least Moritz Wagner coming back, and you're getting the grad transfer from Ohio. Yes, you do lose Derek Walton, and yes, you still lose DJ Wilson. But you got, in my opinion, above adequate quality of players who trust and believe in John Beeline and the system. I mean, the man has been there for 10 years now for a reason. Okay, gotten more wins than anyone in program history. So he's obviously been doing something right, despite how many times, despite the numerous attempts of fans trying to call for his job. Please. So I like and appreciate the fact that Beeline, even I got to be honest, as much as I think he is a terrific coach, he needs to do better in the recruiting. This is a good start. Hopefully he keeps it up.
Taylor Curry is 6'8". He's the number 9 center in the country and number 91 overall for 2019. He's Bleacher Report's Rob Goldberg says Curry is undersized for the position, but is a good finisher around the rim. He's also capable of knocking down shots from the outside, perfect for John Beeline's offense at Michigan. Considering he still has 2 more years of high school action left, there's also plenty of time to improve his game and potentially add some size to his frame. And then maybe, just maybe, if he keeps developing, he may be NBA bound.
Yeah, because what the league is at right now with such predominantly focused fixation on offense and shooting the ball, and you're seeing all these players now, power forwards and centers, these bigs, primarily you would think in the past of being guys in the post, now expanding their game and being stretch fours or stretch fives and shooting and knocking down jump shots and three-pointers. And what you described with Taylor Curry is a picture-perfect example of that. And we really haven't seen. I mean, we saw a little bit with that with DJ Wilson, but that was a splurt, a blur, if you will. Now we have a chance potentially, if all the things go well with Taylor Curry, this could last at least a solid year or two. While this is how the game is changing. Where it's a best of both worlds type of it's a win-win for John Beeline, where you get your big, they can give you a bigger presence in the paint, but you still maintain your diet and your game plan of live by the 3, die by the 3, stretch the floor, attack, create shots for your create open looks for your jump shooters. This plays perfectly well with that. So again, kudos to Beeline. He needs, in my opinion, to start picking up more and more players like this to help him out. So essentially, he could get better and better runs with his tournaments.
I also almost forgot to mention he's one of only 5 players in Scout.com's top 100 already committed to a school. Most notably among the group is LaMelo Ball's commitment to UCLA. So
that's very good. Yeah, so that's very good quality company that Taylor Curry finds himself in.
Yeah. So that's all of it. That's all the information you need to know about Taylor Curry to all the Michigan Wolverine fans out there. So that's all the material that we've covered. Now it's time for 5 questions. You ready, Ed?
Absolutely, Taylor. So go ahead and let them rip, my friend.
It's time for 5 questions on the Michigan Sports Truth.
Question number 1. Should the Tigers consider hitting Vmart 7th when he returns from the DL?
I wish there was an option of DFA, But if you have to, I'll bat him as low as I possibly could. I bat him 8th if I would. I haven't batted Iglesias 9th. It's that bad, to where I think, granted, the team itself has not been performing well offensively, but that's been the case all year. This whole team, like I said, it's I hate to belittle and go on and on, but they've been a walking disaster of mediocrity, just pure mediocrity for this season. So Victor Martinez being that high up, batting 4th continuously the way Austin's had him throughout this season would be another bad idea for Brad. But, that hasn't stopped him from making bad ideas before in the past. But, yes, if it were up to me, I'll bet him 7th or lower.
Good idea.
Next question.
Question number 2. Should Miguel Cabrera keep playing through back spasms? I'd say no. Especially if the team's under 500.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's not just him that as the primary reason. Okay, whether it's like I said, I just mentioned Victor Martinez, not to mention the numerous pitching issues. Zimmerman, Sanchez, Verlander's inconsistency.
Hold on. Zimmerman has been good as of late. Yeah,
but Miguel Cabrera should not be scapegoated for the whole team being right now.
My main issue is the manager, Brad Ausmus.
Yes, absolutely.
Princess Juliet Brat Asmus.
So, yeah, it's not just that right. You got Francisco Rodriguez trying to throw temper tantrums. Like, dude, if you weren't playing like absolute shit this year, you wouldn't be in the spot you are right now. So keep your fucking mouth shut.
Yeah, he that's another topic that we almost forgot to touch on. He was venting on the team's lack of communication and his mop-up role in the bullpen. Yeah, he needs to shut the fuck up and just get the job.
You lost your job because you're total ass juice. Just shut it.
Yeah, blew 4 saves in about a month.
Blowing saves, giving up home runs.
Way goddamn worse than Joe Nathan.
Anymore. Your best pitch is a hanging changeup. Enough.
Yeah, way goddamn worse than Joe Nathan, for Christ's sake.
And Joe Nathan was an absolute shit show, both as a player and as a person here.
Yeah, both Joe Nathan and Francisco Rodriguez can be comparable. Not quite exactly equivalently, but
not quite, because K-Rod didn't tell the fans to go fuck themselves. So he did that. That's one point I'll give him over that dirtbag Nathan.
Yeah, that's true. K-Rod's nicer to the fans than that.
And he's not throwing teammates under the bus either. Again,
no.
Another point to that albatross piece of shit Nathan did.
Well, except for the lack of communication, which is still less than that.
Yeah, but that's probably more so on the management and front office. He's not, blaming players itself like Joe Nathan did.
Well,
throwing Seattle's under the bus.
You just mentioned the management and the front office. Francisco Rodriguez may have a point.
Yeah, but that's a more logical point than throwing a teammate under because you couldn't pitch fucking well.
True. Absolutely. So with that.
Next question.
Question number 3. Now that Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is serving a 1-year probation, how low have the Pistons' chances of signing him to an extension decreased?
To be honest, it may be neutral. It depends on what they're going to pay him. Now, I will say this. If they somehow unload Andre Drummond's contract and trade him to someone else, that could free up the space that they need to maybe pay KCD. But even, listen, probably the first to tell you, unless he exploded and had an unbelievable year of years, you would have had no choice but be compelled but to pay him. But it just didn't happen. He was good, gave you some threes, gave you some defense, and I'll probably still have him on as as one of my younger number players. But I'm not paying him $20 million for that. No. I'll pay Gordon Hayward that money, but I'm not paying that money to you. No, sir. No.
Next question.
Question number 4. Is Luke Glendening's surgery a positive sign for the Red Wings?
No, because it means, well, again, I doubt it was going to happen because, about 10 years, Lloyd did, but it means that there's no way in the hell that the Vegas Golden Knights would try to take a crack at him or sniff at him at the expansion draft. So,
right.
One of Kenny's boys in his boys' club gets to stay on. What do you fucking do?
Yep, just protect the players that suck and forget about most of the good ones, if not all of them. Just keep that tanking process going, Ken Holland, you stupid idiot. You smug sack of shit.
Anti-Sam Hinkie. He's being anti-Sam Hinkie, to say the least.
Yep, that's true. No doubt.
Next question.
Question number 5. Is the Lions' offensive line complete?
Well, the 3 insurers are trying to make the moves they needed to make, yeah, because what else could you do in this situation with your starting left tackle hurt? They did what they needed to do on the right side, which was great. They just bad timing with Taylor Decker's shoulder getting hurt. So, fixing up depth more than anything was what they had to do, and they got that done. Whether it pays out in terms of quality and great protection and run blocking, I don't know. But, again, that's why you got TJ Lang and Ricky Wagner. I think you're going to see a lot of run plays, design runs being ran to that right side because of the upgrades they made. And you're just hoping that, Greg Robinson does a good job of not getting Stafford killed.
That's true. Yeah. Always got to protect that quarterback if you're the offensive line. So that's the 5 questions segment. For all the listeners and fans out there, if you want to answer those questions, just replay the episode and answer them in the comment bank below this episode. Before we sign off, Penguins clinched the Stanley Cup. Warriors clinched the NBA title. Kevin Durant became the MVP. Sidney Crosby, the Conn Smythe Trophy winner. What can we say? Those, love them or hate them, those were no-brainers.
Yeah, the 2 players that I hate the most in the sports world just won championships back-to-back in the same week. Yeah, God really does like me, huh?
Yep. Got to give them both credit. They were too damn good.
They're excellent. Don't get me wrong. Listen, saltiness aside, they are excellent athletes, excellent players. They're the best in the world of what they do in their respective sports, and they earned their championship. The way they played is warranted being crowned champions. So, despite my feelings on how they've done it or who I think of them personally, hats off to both Crosby and Durant for excellent seasons. Job well done, and yada yada yada. Enjoy your shit.
Yep, that's true. So that's episode 269 of the Michigan Sports Truth Weekend Review Edition on Spreaker, the Father's Day edition 2017. Before we sign off, I want to remind everyone to share this podcast, this episode, and our entire podcast on social media, and have their friends share that as well, because I want to tell them that the Michigan Sports Truth podcast is in search of local advertising sponsors. If anyone has a business that's interested in sponsoring this program, you can follow Sports Radio Detroit on Twitter at Sports Radio DET, at Sports Radio Det, and send them a direct message or email them at sportsradiodetroit.com in the contact section, or email its owner, Roger Castillo, at rajcast81@gmail.com. Also like their Facebook page and join their Facebook group, and finally find their podcasts available on iTunes and Podbean. I'm Taylor Phillips. Follow me on Twitter at DT2Phillips. Follow Ed Smith at EdSmith313, my co-host, and like the Facebook page, The Michigan Sports Truth, and join its Facebook group. We'll talk to you next week on episode 269. Ed, enjoy your week.
Absolutely. Happy Father's Day to you, Taylor, and all the listeners out there.
Thank you. Happy Father's Day to you as well.
Thank you.
TTFN, ta-ta for now. Thanks very much for listening and downloading.
Bon appétit.